search through our back catalog and check it out. This is a video about a group of Latinos. As you know, if you listen to us, you know that the Latinx designation is completely fabricated out of whole cloth. There are so many Latin folks that really are not even connected to one another through language, through race, through ethnicity. Nothing. It's just this is a grouping that is going to make black folks look smaller, which is not the case. All right, so
and since Joe Biden said y'all gotta learn how to get along with the Hispanics because they're gonna be a bigger group than you guys are, which somebody actually put up the thread. So ADOS is the third largest nationality in the country.
hmm
That's putting us in with white people.
yeah, we
Somebody
are.
actually broke down the demographics when you
Yeah,
put us in with white people, when you started doing Germans. And man,
yeah.
I think
Well, I
I
thought we were number
screenshotted
two. I
it.
thought it
If
was
I did,
Germans and then us. I thought we were number two.
Yeah.
like I said, we're in the top three, because like I
Yeah,
said,
it's
I think I
Germans and then us.
screenshotted
Yeah,
it.
and then
But when
everybody
I
else.
saw that, I was like, ain't this really a bitch? Now
Yeah,
I
it's just
really
total
want y'all to
political fabrication.
disaggregate
Yeah,
all data.
yeah, it's a total political fabrication. And even and these Latin folks that told you in the last show, and they're gonna tell you again in this show.
Oh,
It
it
is
gets
what it
better in
is.
this one, MG. You didn't get to watch this one yet.
Oh,
You're gonna
okay,
enjoy this.
I bet. Because I love when people tell the truth. People call us liars. You can call me a liar all day. Listen to the people who tell you the truth.
Well,
This
that's
is
why
what
I
they
like
say.
for they
You
people
know.
to tell them, right? So
hmm
this is why I chose this video. And this is a little because John had made a point. This is a little off of what we normally do,
hmm
but part of this show is us to tackle race, ethnicity, and people keep talking to us
Nationality.
about
Yeah.
class, race, ethnicity, nationality. People keep talking to us about class. So I feel I picked this video because y'all keep talking to us about coalitions that we're supposed to have, but you have unrealistic expectations on Black people that can't even play out within the Latino diaspora.
hmm
So let's go ahead and rock. This first video clip
Even
is
diaspora
short.
is a stretch. Yeah. Go
Well,
ahead.
I call them a diaspora, right? Because like the Black diaspora, so I call them Latino diaspora, right? Because they do
Mhm,
come from all over the world, the same way the Black diaspora comes from all over the world, right?
mhm.
Like you can be Black and come from Brazil, you can be Black and come from Cuba, you can be Black and come from
Yeah, but
Ghana.
but the Lat
So
but the Latinx designation is a language designation as opposed to a phenotype or
is
even a
it though?
race.
Because
Their motherland is Spain.
aren't Brazilians considered Latinos even though they don't
They
speak
speak
Spanish?
yeah, they speak Portuguese. That's what I'm saying. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's totally fabricated, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm
It's
saying. They
completely
just bunched
fabricated.
all these people in a group.
If you speak a language similar to Spanish in some way, or even a language um that's close to Spain, right? They're gonna start adding Arabic speaking people to this designation in a minute to make them seem bigger. I mean,
Oh my God.
if you speak a derivative of Spanish or have some common words, common words of
MG,
the Spanish
MG, you
language,
are right.
wild.
Germans are number one at 14.7%. Blacks are number two at 12.3.
Mhm,
Mexicans are number three at 10%. So
mhm.
yeah, we are the second largest minority, the second largest ethnicity in this country, and they better
Absolutely.
fucking recognize and quit playing games.
Absolutely, this is a little bit off center, but this actually goes back to the Biden show we did. Excuse me. That's why it's so important for the Democratic Party to downplay us, to downplay our voting power. That's why they don't fight for us for our voting rights because they don't want to deal with us. They want our votes, but they don't want to deal with us. That's why they're trying to shift over to they don't want to deal with our real problems or or deal with
And they're really
reparations.
just shifting to Latinos because Latinos can be white, black, or other, right? So
Yeah.
what they're gonna do is they're gonna elevate the white Latinos to boost their population, and
hmm
the brown ones they're gonna tell them to kick rocks. But let's
Yeah.
get this show started, MG, and we can come back to this one.
Yeah.
Something like these words, that Donald Trump said. Mexican immigrants, they're criminals, they're rapists, they're bringing drugs. In countries like El Salvador, Haiti, and African countries, they're shithole countries. Who here, raise your hand if you think that is a racist remark? For those of you that did not raise your hand, why do you believe that's not a racist remark?
Because it was misconstructed by the media. So when I first heard it, I thought the same. And I was like, this is terrible that he's saying this about all Mexicans. But when you actually hear the entire tape of it, it's like, okay, here comes CNN and the mainstream media cutting off bits and pieces, and he's talking about the terrible criminals, the MS-13 gangs, the people that are rapists, the people that are criminals, the people that are killers, the cartel members that are coming through the border.
I actually did listen to the whole thing, and he doesn't just stop at Mexico. He says Mexicans, and then Central South Americans, and then Middle Eastern countries. He doesn't even just go far as just Mexicans. And what is he talking about that? He's not talking about the white Cuban. He's talking about the white Latino. He's talking about the brown Central South American. And this is my biggest problem with these conversations, because Latino in itself is not a race in this country. The people who are getting deported are brown. They don't even, some of them don't even speak Spanish. They speak Nahua, they speak Cachiquel, they speak Quiche. And the border is saying we need people that speak these indigenous languages.
Ooh, he said some of them don't even speak Spanish. What?
Oh,
what? Is he saying stuff we already know?
Rewind that.
Hold on, I'm gonna rewind like 5 seconds for MG. Hold, I got it. And then we gonna play it through. Boom.
People who are getting deported are brown. They don't even, some of them don't even speak Spanish. They speak Nahua, they speak Cachiquel, they speak Quiche. And the border is saying we need people that speak these indigenous languages because we don't have translators from these communities. But then it gets paintbrushed by like the Latino label, and Latino means like, you know, Hispanic and Spanish and whatever. And this is my biggest frustration. So when we're talking about Donald Trump saying, hey, these people are bringing drugs, he said some are good. Some are good.
Yeah, it's true. Some are
some
are not.
Like, I hate when I saw that, you know, it's a little frustrating because
all of these indigenous people that you're talking about are gonna end up being on our welfare system.
So
no,
wait,
that's
wait, that's not true at all. So like,
a lot of them
my
are
problem,
on it right now.
my problem
illegally.
Who is indigenous here? Would you like to respond to that?
yes, okay, so that is on us. Number one, we don't get welfare. We are undocumented. We have to have a social security to get welfare.
Well, that's not
But
entirely accurate.
they find
Welfare is
loopholes
not
like having children.
Let that run. Let that run.
Okay, but the part where he says you have to have a social security number, that is true for federal programs. That is not true for state
level programs. Yeah.
Yes. So state level programs, look this up, especially in California, Los Angeles, which is a sanctuary city. That is not true, because if there is an American citizen in the household, they will do it for everybody. That's why when is it Ben Carson was talking about doing some stuff with HUD where they were gonna make it where you had to be like a citizen to get those benefits. There was this big humbug about how they were going to be throwing mixed families on the street. So I'm gonna keep going.
It's not solely based on the check from the government.
Can y'all let him finish, please?
So please, so again, people ignore, for example, the biggest detention center here is in Homestead in the country, or the second biggest, and people are not talking about it. We're supposed to all be Latinos, and oh no, like we're all the same race, we're all the same raza, whatever. No, the reality is that Latinos are not one monolithic culture. They're not one monolithic group. There's black Latinos, there's white Latinos, there's native Latinos. And growing up here in Miami, this did not start after Donald Trump. This was before Donald Trump. My family has been called Indios. They have been called Tierra Flecha. My boyfriend's family called my family Dirty Indians, and this has been going on before Donald Trump. Donald Trump is just a fucking random figurehead in this whole thing.
So what they're saying is the whole thing is a fabrication. I mean, you may have heard that from somewhere else.
Basically. Yeah,
I don't get it. All right, so let's start off with Big John this time. Big John, what you got, man?
This is wild. This shit is wild. They really is it's really a made up group for political purposes in America. Word up.
Specifically to counter us. Yeah, absolutely.
Joe Biden is going to try to make these people white. I thought it was going to be 2030 something, but I think by 2024, 2023, they might. They're going to become like they're going to be like white. They about to try to turn these motherfuckers white. You know what I mean?
Yep, and leave us on the bottom again.
But not all of them will become white, right? Because the indigenous guy is telling you that his people are going through it, right? So the pretty Latina, she hasn't said it yet, but you'll catch it when she says people die every day. But the dark-haired pretty Latina, with the nice body, I
didn't notice her
at all. None of the men did. None of the men noticed her.
No, not at all.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
The one from Colombia, right? The one from Colombia. And she basically is telling you, like, look, I came here to be an American. She hasn't got to that part. We'll get to it. But like, she'll get to be white because she's going to marry a white man. She already identifies as white. and her kids will get to be white. But the Black Latina that's on this one, the indigenous man who's already talking about what's happening to him and his
Indigenous
people.
gay man. Yeah, I caught that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other Black Latina who I think she raised her hand when they asked about indigenous, or was it only the two gentlemen in the back? Well, whatever. But they'll have to deal with the consequences. But the ones who can pass for white, like the other two Republicans, their bloodline will become white. So it's not all of them, it's some of them. And they're going to end up having the same kind of stratification that we have in our numbers, right? So we got our boule, those people who have money, and then there's the rest, and those people are going to be the people. So this is the gag for Latinos, right? Y'all are new. So what's going to happen is in 50 years, you're going to have your boule Latinos, and then you're going to have the rest of the Latinos that they talk about who are lazy and who are just drug dealers and who just rape women and they can't get their shit together. Watch, y'all going to be new niggas.
Yep, for sure. Trying to divide this group when they're putting together. Absolutely.
Exactly. So are we ready to move on to the next one? So
I don't
here's
think
the one on...
Mud did. I don't think Mud got to say anything.
Yo, well, this is like you guys already broke it down pretty much. The only thing I got to say is that, you know, they can't come to us talking about this black and brown alliance when these motherfuckers don't even have a black and brown alliance amongst themselves.
Black, brown, and white alliance, right? There's some what they call them, coconuts in the Puerto Rican community.
Black, brown, white, and
got some coconuts in that group.
Alliance. And indigenous. You're forgetting indigenous. There's a whole nother group.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
Are we ready for this how do they identify section?
Yeah, it should be fun.
Oh yeah, it is. So let me know if y'all want me to stop before we get through it.
All right, come on, let's go.
We talk about policies, we talk about immigration, but like sometimes I feel like we don't even know how to refer to each other or address each other. We don't even know what the color of our skin means. So how do each of you identify racially?
Well, that's a good
I
question.
identify as Latin American.
Would you say you're white, brown, like when you're...
I would say I'm white, yes.
Black, white.
Black woman.
White, I guess, right? Are you talking about, sorry,
when you're saying like...
check a box.
On forms.
Like physical?
Like,
yeah.
but like not ethnically.
Yeah, I would say I'm white. I mean, based on my
Not by
skin
that
color,
nose,
but
but go
usually
ahead.
I will put like, if there's a box for Hispanic, I'll put that, yeah.
I'm just white.
This idea of checking a box can mean a lot of things.
So that's what she's asking us.
She asked how we identify, right? So my family is from Nicaragua, right? If that's what you want to know, ethnically, Nicaraguan, American, I was born here, right? But my politics are very brown,
I was born
black,
here, that's
I
important.
come from Indian people, period.
In the box, I typically put other. I'm native, I'm Pijao to be specific, and that's how I identify.
So I'm Nicaraguan, and for Nicaraguan, especially from La Costa Atlantica, the Atlantic coast, the Caribbean coast, which is indigenous, black, and Creole culture, I'm very light-skinned, and in my family, I'm very light-skinned.
So has anyone here experienced racism within the Latinx community?
Like systemically or like on an individual level?
Like colorism level, class level?
Whatever is in your face all day long, how have you experienced it?
So for me, within the Latinx community, I believe that colorism is a huge issue. Just as a Dominican woman, or even just dealing with people, Latinx people in general, there's like an erasure in any country of people of color. So like in our media, in our music, in every aspect of our life, a lot of the things, it's like we're erased. Like if you look at our media in Latin America, you would think that we're just the help, we're the criminals. I'm treated differently within Latinx community. I'm either too black, or if I don't know my Spanish well enough, then now I'm not Latin enough. Or I get people speak Spanish around me, assuming that I don't speak the Spanish, or it's, oh, you're black, or you're Latina, I didn't know. So it's like little things like that. It's just a huge issue of colorism that I feel is a major issue within the Latinx community.
Who else?
People, I'm light-skinned, so I benefit from some of that light-skin privilege, and I'll talk about that, but I have been called dirty Mexican, I've been called dirty Brazilian. At my job, I used to work at a pet store, and this lady came to me, and I couldn't return one of her collars, and she called me a dirty Mexican, she called me a dirty Brazilian. And again, my family's been here for before 1492. We've been here for millions of years. And ironically, this lady who is European is going to be calling me a foreigner, a dirty Mexican, dirty Brazilian, etc. So race changes a lot for me. People assume I'm Middle Eastern. People assume a lot of things. Within my family, people, we come from a multi-hue family. So my grandma, she's very dark-skinned, and people call her, una India. And unfortunately, this is the reality. And in Homestead, ICE raids happen a lot, and it's predominantly affecting the Maya community there that no one knows about. In Homestead, there's a huge Maya population, and no one talks about them because they're indigenous. They're just, they're just there. And it's so focused on the white Latino Miami experience as opposed to indigenous communities here in South Florida, as well as in the United States, as well as in Central South America.
Man, they said a lot in that 3.5 minutes.
they said a lot.
Wow.
Gang.
Wow. For one thing I want to point out, the dude in the middle in the back, when he said I was born here, that's a very, very, very important point in this in the Latinx community. Now, I can't speak for the Latinx community, obviously, but because I'm a Negro, I know my place in this. But this is our show, so we can say what the fuck we want to say. But this is when he says I was born here, that's a very important point to this grouping. I just want to point that out. All right. All right, let's go, Sam. What you got?
Well, I think the things that stood out to me is that, like, these motherfuckers are like, Latino Hispanic is not a race. Exactly. And the fact that there were like a few motherfuckers who were just confused by the question, like that should be a clue as to what the fuck is going on here.
Yeah.
And absolutely. The fact that like so many different motherfuckers have so many different answers.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, you got the motherfuckers who were like, they really didn't go into like black or white thing. They went into like some indigenous shit. And then you got the like 3 people who are saying that they're white, even though like one of them, like her skin is darker than the other motherfuckers talking about they're indigenous or black. So it's like, I don't know. It's
and
real
the one with the blackest
nutty.
Nose in the group is talking about she white. Yeah.
It's real fucking nutty. So I mean,
nuts.
I think like really my man who was talking about he's from Nicaragua and all that type of stuff, like that's really what it needs to be. We need to break it down ethnically. Like we need to stop like talking to these motherfuckers like they're a race.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's what I got.
Yeah, it's a complex issue, but it's also a complete fabrication. Sam, you back?
Yeah, I'm back. No, for sure.
All right, go ahead. You're up.
Yeah, no, but for sure with the they said what we've been saying, right? Latino is not a race.
Yep.
They're black, they're white, they're different ethnicities, they come from all over the country. Mm-hmm. The only reason why they're trying to lump them into a group right now is to combat ADOS Black Americans. And you literally have Latinos at this moment saying we are not a group, we have different interests, we have different needs per our communities.
Mm-hmm.
And by
when they vote, there's a different needs.
And by white people forcing them to become a group, even though they don't have the same needs, that's racist, because you're not even addressing the needs that come out of each one of these specific groups, right? Mm-hmm. So like the chick who comes from Colombia, her situation seems very different than the dude who's indigenous, whose family, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's what it is. It's like you want to lump all of us together. You want to lump even them all in together. So you can be like, oh, well, brown people need this. But we look at how they vote, and they vote like 60-40, right? Mm-hmm. Or 60-35. So they're not a cohesive group. Mm-hmm. So I guess, sorry, for those of y'all who have seen fucking, what's that? Mean Girls, fetch is not going to happen. Stop trying to make fetch happen. Mm-hmm. And that's all I gotta say on that shit. Yeah, y'all absolutely. Got any more for this, or should I move on to the next video?
Well, John didn't go.
Go ahead, John.
This is some bullshit. Like, first of all, the question was like, how do you identify on race when you check off boxes and shit? Black or white? Basically, the black Latinos was like, I check off black. You know what I mean? Then Hispanic. Then like the white Latinos that were more right wing was like, I check off white. And then you had these guys. Then you had the 3 Latinos supposed to be our quote unquote allies. Like, listen. I've been here, I live. I'm like, what box you check off, motherfucker? We didn't ask you
I was
what
born here. Yeah.
I was born here. Basically, my family came in 1882. I'm like, nigga, they ain't ask you when your family got here, bro. What box you checking off, bro? They checking off white. They like, for me, he lied. For me, like the gay indigenous Latino, he check off white. The dude that was, for me, that talking about I'm the dad. For me, he talking about he a professor that break art is supposed to be a progressive. He check off white. The other dude at the end talking about I'm mixed race, but I'm lighter skin. They check off white when they come in. I don't give a fuck what they talking about. They check off white when they come in. They know because they see that because the construct of the race is really different here, man. They might check off Hispanic or they might say I'm Latin American, but when it's a race and they say like Hispanic not on this shit, you're not checking off check off other. That would have been easy. Like I check off other. Cause I'm brown, so I check off. They check off white. They lying like a motherfucker. Like that's fucking crazy. And then motherfucker, what the fuck they was saying? Yeah, that's crazy. They check off white. I just seen it. I'm like, the dude was like, listen, man, listen. I'm Nicaraguan. I was born here. Family came in 1965. Right? Like that ain't the question. What box you checking off on them forms, bro? And he's checking off white. So I mean, that shit is just nuts, man. And then you talking about the black Latinos, Russia with the black Latino women was saying in Dominican, like I seen black Dominican, they do got a lot of colorism, which I always say, and they do. It's really black and race in them country. They deal with colorism in a way that's different from us. Like some, you know what I mean? It's different. Like it's like they demonize, like all these countries demonize blackness, but it's in a different way. So like. Motherfucking like I said in one of the episodes, I said I ain't seen a black Puerto Rican since I ain't seen black Puerto Rican since Roberto Clemente. When the last time you seen a black? It's a lot of them motherfuckers, bro. I haven't seen a black Puerto Rican on TV.
The black Dominicans too.
Yeah, real shit. It's black Dominican, but I see him outside the street. Like I didn't see a black Puerto Rican walking around the hood. Like yo, the real shit. Like when the last time you seen just a black Puerto Rican? And it's mad at them.
Been a minute.
Question.
When the last time you see one? Yeah.
Go ahead, John. I mean, Mud.
Is Sammy Sosa black or white now?
he did go through some Michael Jackson shit, didn't he?
Sosa checking off white before that nigga got the bleach. He was been
Sammy Sosa is now pink. End of discussion.
He just gave up. I'm my own designation. I am porcine. Yeah, I think
that's all I got.
It's two points, two quick points, and they kind of dovetail. The indigenous guy with the in the back of this grouping. If you guys watch the video, there'll be a link to the video in the description. But if you guys watch the video, when he says something very important. He says that this whole thing is very white Latino from Miami sort of feel. We talking about the Cubans specifically, right? Because they dominate politics in the Puerto Rico and Florida, which more or less a swing state, depending on what year. Obviously, that's the way it's a swing state. But and he's basically saying everything is based on the white Cubans in Miami, and that's very and again, this is something like we always say that people come here and fold into white supremacy, step right over our corpses, and keep it pushing. Right. And this is important. And it's not just the Latin community. I would love to see a panel like this with the Asian community, with the Pakistanis, Indians, Chinese, Koreans, Vietnamese. I mean, they would need a bigger panel. They would need a bigger room. We're gonna need a bigger boat, like, like in Jaws. So we're gonna need a bigger boat. These are the complexities of race, ethnicity, and nationality that are cooked into or baked into the cake that we're trying to avoid with these large groupings. But honestly, there's only one group, like Sam brought up earlier, is that we're the second by race and nationality, right? Meaning what country?
No, by ethnicity. By ethnicity.
Yeah, but this is some of it is based on nationality, meaning what country your people hail from. Right. So, or in our case, what continent we people hail from. So based on this ethnicity framing, right? Germans, there are more Germans here than anybody else. And guess who number 2 is? Black Americans. Shocking. No, okay, nobody who listens to the show should be shocked, right? And we are a massive potential voting bloc, which is one of the reasons why the left pisses me off so much, right? All they gotta do is get on our side and fight with us, and they could be twice, 3 times as powerful as they are now well, they're not really all that powerful right now. They get a couple of seats every once in a while, but they're not really that powerful. Nancy Pelosi pisses in their cornflakes on a regular, right? And with aplomb, she makes it look easy, right? she, but
Nancy Pelosi just be walking around slapping people with baby powder.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's smacking baby
powder.
Goddamn,
Yeah,
Tommy,
she got James Kleinberg putting powder on her hand. Powder, nigga.
Yo, do y'all remember that video when Jamion told James Clyburn, like, y'all need to cut the check? He was like, what, you gonna go tell Nancy Pelosi to cut the check? And I was like, yeah, because she got her balls. She got James Clyburn's balls in her purse.